Hi. Hello, everyone.
This is for the Charter Review Committee.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
I'm just going to give it a few minutes for everyone to get logged in. It'll not quite 6 yet anyways.
I had to scroll back to seemed like an old email. It was way down at the bottom to find the Zoom link.
Yeah, I think that, do you use Google Calendars?
Not really.
No, okay. I think that Sarah sent out an email, a week ago or something like that, and it had a link in it, but it also
I think that's what I went to.
Okay. It also had like an instantaneous, it adds it to your Google Calendar if you use one.
I think it automatically popped up in my phone as that.
Oh.
Another easy way to find the link is if you go to the city's website, the postings for all the meetings will have the link on
I've sometimes had a hard time finding them in there.
Yeah, it wasn't being consistent in the past, James. So if you're going to make sure that happens, that's going to be wonderful. By the way, ladies, this is James Clevenger, our new city administrator.
Hi, James. Welcome aboard.
And he's only able to be here for a little bit tonight, but he wants to see what we're doing. So he's popping in.
When I clicked on the link and it brought me to Zoom, it redirected me to this site. Did that do it to you too?
Yes. When I opened up Zoom, it came right here. But I saw Kevin Martin's name. I thought, uh-oh, this isn't right.
Right. That's what had me concerned.
Yeah.
That's just because I'm using the city administrator's account to run the meeting. And as soon as James gets it figured out, that'll start to say James Clevenger's meeting room. And he'll be the one opening the meetings moving forward.
Okay.
Good.
Hello.
Hi.
It's like we're still waiting for a couple people.
Mm-hmm.
And who has access to the, I think we all have access to the copy of the Charter Review Committee document where we're able to make the notes. That's theoretic access. Who has actual computer access to it?
I do. I can open my Google Drive and pull that up and
Great.
do a screen sharing.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Trying to find where my notes are for this committee. For some reason, they're not right in front of me. All right, I'm just going to take notes in the drive. Yes, here it is. The only trouble is my computer's telling me I have low system resources. So I hope I don't get kicked out.
What a familiar challenge.
Yeah, I think it's my internet service provider. They've fixed it once before and it worked great for a while, and now it seems to be doing this again. Where's screen share? Here we go. Okay, I don't see anyone else in the waiting room. And it is 6:03.
And I'm not actually seeing you in the document, the one that's shared.
Yeah, it's just now popped up, even though I clicked it 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
So it should be loading here in a second.
Great.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, good. There's my low resources. Okay.
So this is again not the one in the shared drive.
You're right. Let me go to that one. I apologize.
No worries.
So
I just pulled it up on my phone and all I have are PDFs that we have. I don't see the minutes.
shared with me.
There's the third one over, looks like copy of, and I think that's the one where
I don't think so. I'll look at it.
okay.
Well,
Maybe not that one either. You have in your shared with me tab to the left.
Yeah, I'm in that.
There's the Charter Review Subcommittee folder down below. If you click that, there should be the one that's shared with all of us inside of that folder.
Okay.
There it is.
Wow, way too many copies of the same document. And that, since I'm the one that shared it, even if I'm assuming that the other ones would have the same information, but I'll look at that later. Okay. There you are.
Yep. So
In other words, if we all have it open on another screen, we're all in the same document.
yes,
Okay.
and that lets at least me type real time, and whoever, if there's anyone who can do notes in the document real time, it gets reflected on your shared screen.
I'd be happy to do that if you want while you're talking.
Great.
But you know what I don't know how to do is get these boxes.
I'll drop them in.
Okay. How do you do that? Or I should be able to see you doing it, huh?
The way I do that is to up above where I just click where I want it. So in this case, after the black box.
Uh-huh. Oh, wait, this one doesn't have, I think we've already done section 17. Haven't we?
I believe so. And this one doesn't have that, does it?
This one doesn't have that. So I am curious if it's not a different one.
Do you want to see if you can locate?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you drop it in the same location, then we'll be able to share the access. So while Councillor Kenyon's doing that, let's check in. How are you showing up today, Jan, and then Chris?
Well, I am showing up a little frazzled. We spent the day in Eugene, Springfield, had a doctor's appointment and some shopping to do. That's always kind of crazy, trying to get back on time, and made it 20 minutes ago, made it home. I'm trying to get my paperwork out here and kind of be able to look at it while we're going through this. I'm good though.
Sounds great. And congratulations on making it back on time. Chris and then James.
I was sharing the road too with you. I had a dentist appointment, and unfortunately the Novocaine is starting to wear off. I had half of my mouth. I haven't seen a dentist since before COVID. And so I was past due for cleaning and all of that. So it was a fun day. Then I went to the grocery store and did other errands while I didn't feel anything, and then hit the road home.
Okay, I have, oh, I'm sorry. Is it my turn or?
James, do I have the name right?
Yeah, James Clevenger.
Yeah.
How are you showing up?
Been frazzled for about a week now since taking this new job as city administrator. But I'm getting a handle on it, slowly but surely.
All right. A lot on your plate.
Yes, and a lot of things that were not attended to, shall we say, over the past few months as we've transitioned between a couple of city administrators. So some things are late, and but nothing of consequence yet. Everyone's been very gracious with extensions. So far, so good.
Wonderful. We're blessed to have you taken that on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Councillor Kenyon, how are you showing up today? And then I'll go.
Okay, well, I am showing up also frazzled. I've had a very busy 2.5 weeks, including today, which involved all of the last 2 weeks. All of my spare time has been helping people that I know move, including today. And I have to go help after I'm done with this meeting again. So It's go, go, go for me. I did find the document that has the updated notes. It is in my shared with me folder, but it's not in the charter review subcommittee folder. So what I'm going to do right now is share it with everyone who's here, I guess, but maybe James would be able to somehow get it into that charter subcommittee folder. Oh, it says Matt already has access. Actually, it says, Matt, you're the owner of this document.
Oh, you're editing my copy. Okay.
And I'm in, oh, actually everybody in this committee is already marked as an editor on this document. But the only one I need to add, it looks like, is James Clevenger. Whoops. Yeah, so I'm going to do that right now.
And I will drop the link in chat as well. And then let's, whomever or whoever can make sure that it's in, that this copy gets in the folder. That way there's public access.
Yeah, and probably remove the one that says copy of.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I don't have the ability to,
so you don't have the ability to access this one?
I'm in it. I don't have the ability to drop a link in chat so that those who only have access to the folder find this one.
Okay, let me, that was something I still haven't taken the time to figure out how to do. It has to do with the way that this Zoom meeting room is set up. At one time, a long time ago, the city administration removed that feature. And I just don't know how to fix that right now. So is everyone okay with just viewing it on my screen, or do you want me to take the time and figure out how to do that?
I'm good with watching what I have on my screen right now.
Same here.
I'm good with that as well.
Okay.
All right. And for our meeting tonight, do we have a quorum for our subcommittee?
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe there's 7 on the committee, but let me double check. Matt, me, Chris Harder, Jan, Jerry, Sarah, and Susan is 7. The Oak Ridge City Administrator on this committee doesn't have, they're an ex officio member, so there's technically 7 of us, so 4 is a quorum.
All right. Who wants to, and for my check-in, I'm doing well. Had a great day, still homeschooling my kids during the summer, working on math facts with a jump rope, and glad to be here this evening. So does anyone want to read point 18? Is that the one we're on?
Well, it looks like we have notes for section 18 already.
18 already, okay, great.
So we'll move into 19.
Moving on to 19. Who would like to read 19? Any volunteers?
I'll read it.
All right, Chris.
Mayor. The mayor shall appoint the committees provided by rules of the council. The mayor shall sign all approved records of proceedings of the council. The mayor shall have no veto power and shall sign all ordinances passed by the council within 3 days after its passing. Upon the approval of the council, the mayor shall endorse all bonds of city officers and all bonds for licenses, contracts, and proposals, and countersign all orders of the treasury.
Matt, will you be able to put that box in and do notes, or do you want me to do notes?
The box is in.
Oh, I'm not seeing it. Oh, down there. Okay.
So 2 rounds. First round is questions about the meaning of the words, implications, just so this is confirming understanding. And then the next round is about implications. So Councillor Kenyon and then Jan.
Okay, so I'm going to scroll back up to the words. Oh, I just wanted to share a little history on this one. This is a section of the charter that's been challenged quite a few times, maybe 4 or 5 times in my history with the city of Oak Ridge that I know of, which has been like over the last 10 years. The point of this section that gets a lot of attention is the very last sentence where it starts with the word upon the approval of the council. For the longest time, that was interpreted in a way that mayors signed all bonds and all contracts and all proposals and countersigned all orders of the treasury. But it's been challenged, and they thought that it meant the mayor only signs the bonds of the city officers and the bonds for licenses. And then because of that comma, assuming it means bonds of contracts, which don't exist, and bonds of proposals, which don't exist. So, so it's been interpreted 2 different ways by 2 different attorneys of the city. And it's been an issue. I think that this is a section that really needs some attention for clarification. That's all I wanted to say.
What's the argument, Dawn?
Well, the argument is I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. Obviously, everything, because the sentence starts with upon approval of the council. So everything that the mayor signs has to be approved by the council first. But we have had some administrators who assume that the way this is written gives them authority to sign any contracts or proposals, like let's say a third party that the city wants to do some business with sends a proposal over for $1 million. Some administrators have thought that it's okay for them to sign this instead of being approved by council first. But the way it was interpreted for a very long time was that anything with a contract or a proposal had to be approved by council first, And then obviously the mayor signs off on it, as long as the council approves. Did that help?
And you say administrator, you're not talking the mayor.
That's correct. The city administrator is hired by the council to be the administrator for the city.
I guess I'm just dense here. That's what you read was about what the mayor's job is. This isn't about what the administrator's job is. Is that which one needs to be fixed?
You're absolutely correct. And that's why it was always interpreted in the way that the mayor's job is to sign contracts. But somehow the city got away from that in the past, and the contracts weren't going to the mayor. And so there was actually a lot of things signed and implemented that the council and the mayor knew nothing about.
Ah, that would cause problems.
Yeah, and it all had to do with the wording of that sentence. So
maybe it should say something about upon the approval of the council, the mayor has the last word or something. It has to go to the mayor, nobody else.
Well, it's actually the whole council. It's just right. Mayor has the authority to sign after the council approves.
Yeah, leave the first part. Upon the approval of the council, the mayor has final responsibility to do the following.
Yeah.
So I don't see how the city administrator would think they have the right to go in there and do any of that. They're not even mentioned. But if the mayor's not doing their job, I don't know. That was a loose interpretation in my opinion.
Oh, Matt, I see that James Clevenger has his hand up.
Yes.
Oh, James, I should point out, we kind of do this open forum. You're welcome to jump in.
Gotcha. Well, yes, I agree with Dawn. This has been a major issue in the past in general as to who signs contracts. And it should be fixed. The point I was going to make prior to this was the requirement that the mayor sign resolutions within 3 days of the council meeting is problematic because we have council meetings Thursday nights. Technically, that would require the mayor to sign that resolution by the end of the weekend, which is just that's pretty hard to make that happen. So I would suggest, unless there's a provision somewhere else in the definition saying that days refers to business days, if there's not, we might want to add the word business days. Sorry, add the word business before the 3 days, because that would give us, until Wednesday to get a resolution signed.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the overall point about contracts, I know I was just looking at it today insofar as contracting for purchasing equipment and stuff, that I know the city administrator, I believe was $50,000 as long as the item was already in the budget. Like for instance, the mower broke at the water treatment center. And so we're trying to figure out, and don't worry, it's not going to cost $50,000 to replace, but we're trying to figure out what we needed to do and what authority the CA had to make expenditures versus department heads. And the department heads, Director of Public Works, in this example, their credit card is maxed out at $5,000, but it was a higher limit, and I don't remember off the top of my head, as long as it was already budgeted. which in this case it was, I think it was up to 10,000 or 15,000. I can't remember how much was in Public Works budget to replace equipment, but it was within that range. Couldn't be done by credit card. It has to be done by purchase order. But yeah, I think this is an issue that should be addressed and clarified. And that's the problem with lawyers. You know, I'm a lawyer too, and yeah, you will get different opinions depending on who you ask. But you know, we can easily clarify it by changing the language in the charter.
Sorry, guys, I'm not sure how long she's been waiting, but I just noticed Sarah was in our waiting room, and so I clicked on to add her to join.
Welcome, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Daddy.
Okay, so
Getting there.
in terms of questions about basic understanding, we were doing around, we heard from Councillor Kenyon and James. Jen, you also spoke. Was there additional things that you had? That
Yeah,
you
I was kind of wondering if the mayor shall appoint the committees. Should there be a list of whatever committees they're referring to there? And provided by rules of the council. That seems pretty unexplained to me. You know, maybe I'm just naive and I don't know how things run or work. I mean, is there a limit to how many committees? Is there 5? Is there 20?
You want me to explain the committees?
That'd be great. Thank you.
So there can be as many committees as the council deems necessary, but they're all, when it is an official city committee, they would be created by resolution, and there would be a resolution posted on the city website that describes like how many people are on the committee, what the purpose of the committee is, etc. Once in a while, a committee is dissolved. I don't think it's happened for a long time. But the city right now probably has, I'm gonna guess like 7 or 8. The administration committee is one. Well, the library is a board, not a committee.
Budget committee would be one.
Budget committee is one, but that one is actually created, and the rules that we have to follow for budget committee are state budget laws. So those are determined by the state, not by a city resolution. We do have a safety committee, public safety. We have an ODAC committee, which stands for Oak Ridge Economic Development Advisory Committee. I think is the long word for the acronym. James might be able to pipe in. There's a few more. I don't have my list in front of me. But anyway, they are created by resolution and then managed by whatever the resolution says.
Dawn, am I correct that you told me, I think at the last meeting, that we would have access to the rules of the council? On the
yes.
Is that on the website?
It's in the shared file for the Google Drive.
Okay.
Are you a Google user?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll look for it there then. Thank you.
Yeah.
I meant to do that.
All right, and Sarah, we've I understand you were waiting in the waiting room for a while. We all checked in. Do you want to check in as well? Just let us know how you're showing up to the meeting.
Hey, sorry for getting in so late, but I was waiting for quite a while. But other than that, I don't know if it's this Zoom or my Zoom is being weird. I had to come in through the browser. So this is my first time actually using Zoom from a browser. So yeah, quite a lot of problems. And I am curious if it was just me who's having problems or if there's other folks who aren't able to get in. Because it does seem like a small meeting tonight.
I went in through an old email.
Yeah, me too. I clicked on the link in the email you sent us, actually.
Okay, yeah, I came in through my calendar. I tried several different things. And can we meet without having a quorum?
Technically, we can't vote on anything without a quorum, but we do have a quorum.
Okay.
Have we had some members drop out? Because Chris Harder, I know, was in here. I knew Sue's not here. Seemed like we had more people on this committee once upon a time.
We did.
I've lost track too. I think we started out with 11, but I don't know where we're at now.
Right. So Rosa Sares was originally considered a member, but she never responded to multiple phone calls, emails, and requests to participate. So she's literally never attended a single meeting. Jan Hooker was a member, but she became a city councilor, so she had to no longer be on this committee. And then there was a guy named Stan Yarborough originally, but he actually contacted me, and I think I notified this committee a few meetings ago and said that something's come up in his life and he's not going to be able to participate, so he resigned. So what we have left is all of us that are here right now, plus, like you mentioned, Chris Harder is a member. And I'm not sure why he hasn't been attending. Let me see if I can find.
Is Amy Kelly still?
Oh, Amy Kelly has never been on this committee. She's on the admin committee, but she requested from day one not to be on this committee.
Okay, and I have Jerry Reed as well written on this list.
Yeah, Jerry Reed is a member. And I think she sent an email to the committee saying if it's on Wednesdays, she's not going to be able to attend for a while because of her work schedule.
Okay. And Trudy Hammond?
Oh, Trudy resigned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not to get you guys off track of what you're doing. I'm sure it's work that needs to happen, but it definitely, after receiving that email from Jerry that she's not going to be able to participate, if we are losing so many people, there's probably a point where we need to get some more citizens on this committee, because it is really important that any kind of charter review is implemented by a robust group of citizens. And usually those committees tend to be 10 to 15 people. So now that we're down to, I'm seeing, 4 or 5 people. I don't know. I mean, let's do tonight's business. Maybe we take a couple months off and get some more folks on this before we start up again. Because otherwise we're doing work we're gonna have to completely redo at some point to get everybody caught up.
It kind of makes a lot of sense.
I can definitely take that to the council.
Well, and that's another thing, this charter review should not be a council-driven process. It needs to be a citizen-driven process. And I brought that up last time, Dawn. There's charter committees in other cities that elected officials are not even allowed to be part of. And because there's a conflict of interest for an elected official to be reviewing a charter. So I think it makes sense to have, a liaison here and help answer questions and clarify. But, I don't know if council needs to even have a say in who's on it or how it happens. I think it's something the city can put out that they're hosting it, but then people get nominated or just participate from that.
I agree.
Sorry, I got a 7-year-old here that's trying to get my attention too. But yeah, so I'm not sure how this all came about other than the admin committee wanted to review the charter. But again, the city committees themselves are appointed and serve at the behest of the council. So yeah, Dawn, if you want to elaborate on the council's thinking or your thinking around that, I'd sure be curious.
Yes, I'm happy to. Actually, as a citizen for the many years that I've lived here, that I wasn't on council, charter review is something that's been on my mind, and wanting to figure out how to make it happen. And after I became a counselor this time, I brought it up to inquire, and Mayor Kathy Holston said that the charter or the administration committee, if the council deems to give the administration committee a project, then we could create a subcommittee from the administration committee so that it's not actually a city committee to do the charter review. And I actually pointed out when we first, I did the recruitment notices to try and get people interested in the community to be on this committee. And Matt might remember this, but I don't know if you were there. I actually said, I am on the council and I'm on the administration committee, and I'd be happy to answer questions and not even be on this committee, because I knew that there would be people like you that feel the same way. And as a citizen, I would probably even feel the same way. But the committee who's here said they would like to see me continue coming to these meetings. So that's why I'm here. But I'd be happy to step out if that's what this committee wants.
I agree with liaison role, Dawn. I think it's helpful and beneficial. It's just when it comes to final voting and things getting, adopted as the recommendation putting forward, I think that's where there's that conflict of interest of an elected official being part of that. But that being said, if we get down to just a handful of folks and we put forward this charter, especially if there's substantive reviews, and we were looking at an old charter with old language, just even updating, people, when they see a lot of new language, if you say, oh yeah, these 5 citizens are who did that, we're going to be up against, people that are going to be maybe not as supportive. So that's why it's very helpful to have a robust committee with a lot of different voices, a lot of different perspectives. So I'm just one who hates to do work that we have to redo or that just gets put on a shelf. So that's why, seeing those small numbers, knowing how much I struggled to get into this meeting, and seeing Jerry's email, that if we don't have, most people here, we're either gonna have to redo our work or it's not gonna be accepted from the community.
I agree.
Okay, so sorry, sorry, Matt, for that complete detour. I do still think let's do the work tonight, because I think what we're doing right now is we're just calling out areas that we need to come back with language or clarifications, right? So I think that's still good work, but maybe after tonight, we take a pause until we can build back up to numbers we need. And then that's all still good work that we can take people to. But yeah, if we keep going forward, trying to adopt language and stuff without a robust committee, I really worry that our work will be could possibly be time not spent well because it won't be accepted.
Yeah, I would second that sense in terms of proposals. I had suggested early on that we run through the charter in 2 different rounds. The first round being an opportunity to ask just questions of what does this mean? And then, that's part 1A, and then part B or 1B is, what are the implications of this? Are other towns doing things differently? That implications, those implication questions are an opportunity without making any proposals. So we're not even taking any proposals at all during this first round, but a way of raising other options and raising concerns so that when we do a proposals round, we're working from a shared understanding of what the text says, and we're working from a shared understanding of the implications of what the text says and some available alternatives. So I would have no difficulty continuing in round one of what does it say and what are the implications and alternatives. I'd love to have more people in that round one with a greater diversity of questions. But I have no difficulty continuing in that, even without as many people as I would like raising those questions. But I think your point in terms of round two of proposals is entirely valid. I certainly don't want to be on a committee of 5 that suggests radically new charter language, because that is unlikely to be accepted. Does knowing that structure change your sense of whether it might be a good idea to take off the 2 months until we can build back people, or would you think that we can keep adding people in that round one, since we're not making proposals, and hopefully build up those numbers before we start that actual round two?
I mean, knowing that Jerry's not going to be able to make it next month, that's unfortunate too. And we're going to be in August. And I just hate to, I think even if we bring in 5 new people, say, in September or October, we're going to spend a whole meeting going over everything we discussed at least. So, because the questions that we've seen with the language, they might have questions about too. So it just turns into more meetings, and maybe it's hard when you have a group that shared understanding you're talking about. There's a smaller group that has a shared understanding and another group that is trying to catch up to that smaller group. So yeah, I mean, sorry, I feel like I'm taking your guys' meeting off track, and I didn't mean to do that. I was just waiting for so long to get in, and then, you know, kind of surprised to see such a small meeting. I thought maybe there wasn't quorum and you guys didn't meet, and that's why I was just waiting. So yeah, let's go through today, and then maybe at the last 5 minutes we can talk about whether we reschedule August so it works for Jerry and maybe Sue as well, or if we take, you know, if we can take 2 months off and meet in mid-September, maybe there'd be enough time to get more people, because I don't think there's been any notification to the community that this committee has lost half of its original interested applicants. And so that should be messaged out so people know that that we're still seeking people.
Great point. Sarah, were you saying that the Charter Review Committee should not be a subcommittee of the admin committee?
I do believe that, but then how Dawn defined it was separate than how I understand subcommittee. So she's saying a subcommittee that's not actually needing to flow through the admin committee and through council to get approval. It's just kind of maybe a supported, staff supported meeting, as in we use the city's, you know, Zoom capabilities, probably eventually city's meeting space or whatever, but the city or the subcommittee alone will make its own recommendations. And then that goes out to the public to vote on. So I don't know if even a subcommittee is the right title to call it, because that insinuates there has to be a flow through, but it does sound like it's a standalone citizen committee. So that's what I think is important, but messaging that is also going to be very important to the community.
Okay, thank you. James, do you still? I noticed you still have your hand up on the screen. Do you have something else you're wanting to See, I lack the capacity to put it down on Zoom.
Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to take my hand down.
No worries. All right. So we're looking at questions again for section 19 of the meaning. We've taken a circuitous route, and some other things have been brought up to. So far, Councillor Kenyon, you've spoken, James, Jan, and Chris.
My name is Chris.
Yes. Would you like to go next with any questions?
Then I'm one of the unrobust people, I guess. The passing or the signing within 3 days of something being passed, if the discussions happened and the vote has been made and it's passed, why isn't it signed right then?
Well,
I understand not wanting to wait over the weekend, but why not have it signed the day that it's approved?
I can address mainly because the meetings are on Zoom now. So
okay,
people aren't necessarily there. And sometimes there will be revisions that need to be made, slight change of the language in the resolution. So it'll have to be, rewritten, printed, and then signed again.
Okay, so we're not talking the final document. I got you. And I totally had not thought about the Zoom aspect. Thank you.
If I could chime in, the charter was, written, I want to say 100 years ago, but not really, way before Zoom existed. And so I think that James's second point of revisions is probably the biggest reason why it was written this way, because you notice where it says upon approval of the council. So a city administrator brings us something, and if we decide, well, we like most of that, but there's one little thing we want to change, then that's in the minutes, and so it's recorded to be that way, and then they update it and the mayor has to go in and sign.
Gotcha.
And any other questions from you, Chris, about the?
Oh, no.
Okay. I have a question about the term endorses. The mayor shall endorse all bonds. What is the intended meaning of that?
Signature, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Is there any reason for saying endorse versus sign?
Could be a banking thing.
Yeah, it's just more of a legal word for sign.
I was curious if there was intended any obligation in this, that if the council is proposing a bond to the city, that in some way the mayor is required to support that bond. I don't think that that's the intent, but
I see what you're saying, but as far as I know, it's always meant sign. The official signer being the mayor.
Yeah, so it's, unlike, let's say, national politics where the president has veto power and they can refuse to sign something, our charter doesn't allow for that. If something has been passed by council The mayor may hate the idea, but she has to sign it. She has to endorse it.
Yeah, the time frame is what throws me, in that if there's a bond initiative that is being publicized to the city, this reads to me as if it could be construed as a violation of charter for the mayor to be speaking out against that bond initiative that the city council is wanting to put forward. And I don't think that's the intent, but is there any record of this sort of thing being read that way, to constrain a mayor's voicing?
So to clarify, I think that the word bonds in this charter is referring to like fidelity bonds. Like later in the charter, we will see that our finance director and our city administrator are required by charter to have a fidelity bond or surety bond. I can't remember which one, but bonds for like tax stuff, if you're talking about that, I think always go through an election process and have nothing to do with the council, as far as like whether they can sign them or veto them or create them. It has to go to the people. A tax bond.
Right. And that tax bond is put out and advertised and promoted, yes, by the city council?
I think in a way, yes.
So that was my question of, is a potential reading of this that the mayor is required to join the city council in promoting that bond, that the mayor is not allowed to speak against that bond initiative. The mayor is required to endorse it.
I see what you're saying.
So if the word endorse was changed to sign, it would go along with the second part of the question where she countersigns, or he, the mayor, signs and countersigns would follow from an English major standpoint. I see your point about endorse can be signed. It can also mean support.
Okay, so I think that concludes our round of questions about the meaning. Now, any questions about implications of this section, or mentions of other ways that cities handle what Section 19 of Mayor is addressing in ways that, in mentioning it, you may want to bring our council or subcommittee's attention to. So we'll let's Jan, I'll call on you first, and then Chris.
I am not quite sure what to say about this. I think that the things we've talked about should be changed in there, like the business days, so that there's not a lot of, argument there. I don't think, if the mayor doesn't have veto power, then they would have to endorse or sign whatever the council approved. I'm sort of wondering what the bonds of the city officers means. Is that like the pay for the city administrator or whoever the council hires, city officers, police officers? Who exactly are those officers? The mayor themselves? Or just, I'm still naive about how does the city really run? I guess I should do some studying.
We will come across it a little bit later in the charter. There's a section on officers, and it describes each officer that the city already has and what they're required to have as far as a bond goes. The way it was always explained to me is that the bond was to protect the city if there was any fraudulent behavior by those positions. But I've never really seen that happen, so I don't really fully know. James might know.
I actually do not know the answer to that question.
Oh, okay.
But I can look into it.
I do know off the top of my head, there's only 2 officers according to this charter. One of them is our city administrator and one of them is our municipal judge. And a very long time ago, the charter also had the finance director listed as an officer, but that was removed whenever the last change was prior to 2012. So maybe, 2010 or 2000. I don't remember when the charter review was done prior to 2012.
So Chris and then Sarah.
I agree with all the things that we brought up and say we need to have some more conversation about. That's as much as I can say at this point.
Sarah and then me.
Hey, I just got a text from Sue that she's trying to get in as well. I had texted her trying to figure out when I couldn't get in if she was on, so.
Oh, Sarah, I wanted to point out at 6:05 when we officially started the meeting, I have the controls here and I did not see anyone in the waiting room. Then we got to talking and it was like, what, 10 minutes or something, or however long it was, before I physically noticed that you were in the waiting room. So that is my fault.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, Zoom was being weird. I've never had to come in through Zoom on a browser, but that's the way only way I could get it to work tonight. So I just kind of echo what Chris said. We've seen these issues pop up before with this section, the confusion around the signing of contracts and such, and council not being aware of them. So that's definitely been an issue. So that needs to stay, but maybe just the wording needs to be clearer. And then I've also in the past myself thought it was weird that the mayor shall appoint committees. I think committees should be determined by, and who chairs them and whatnot, by a majority of council, not just the mayor. And I think it's buried in how that's been practiced in the past, but I think that that's a change I would support. So maybe looking at other languages or how other cities do it would be smart.
Are there other implication questions that you have, Sarah? My Zoom, incidentally, also is functioning erratically, so I'm having to do Zoom on my phone, so I cannot actually see all of you all at once. So I'm typing as well as doing the typing for the notes. So I'm juggling a bit. Were there? I now see you, Sarah. Were you shaking your head no that there are no other implication questions?
Right. Yeah. No other questions. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. When can we start meeting in person now?
Yeah. Sue, welcome. We've all checked in, but you're just able to join us, having been let through the gauntlet, the Zoom gauntlet. How are you showing up to the meeting?
I'm showing up late just for mere forgetfulness, so I apologize for that. But I'm showing up feeling good, and had a nice day with nice day at the shop today.
Great. All right, so we're asking implication questions on section 19, and I'm up, and then you can go next, and then James, you can go after Sue. So the
You'd like me to scroll back to 19?
No, it's fine. I scrolled up. I'm curious, these the surety bonds, who holds them, and who has claim to them. I don't know if someone can type what I'm saying with if you have that.
I'll try to do that.
That'd be great. Thanks. So it's my understanding that surety bonds give broader standing for bringing objections to an official's conduct. So that if there is a city official who is required by charter to have a surety bond, that members of the public who are questioning the ethics of that city official could call for that bond, could basically make a civil complaint, and that the need for that bond then requires the evaluation of that city official's ethics. So it is a way. It's my understanding that it's a way for the public to have that capacity to trigger the ethics review. So I'm curious if that interpretation is valid, number one, and I'm also curious if if that's the case, why on earth the surety bond would have been removed for the finance director.
It was not removed for the finance director. The finance director was removed from being an officer, but it is still by charter required for the city administrator and the finance director to have the bond, and the city pays for it.
Yeah.
If you want, maybe we should scroll to that section real quick and read it so that I'm not misquoting the charter. But it's there in little ways. Do you want me to do that?
Sure. It's chapter 5, section 21.
You said it's chapter 5 what?
Chapter 5, section 21 is deals with the bond for the city administrator.
Okay, I was looking for the section on officers.
That's section 22. The city recorder shall furnish a City surety bond. Okay, that's for the recorder.
Number 4 under 21 it is, Matt.
Wow, you are super fast. Okay, there, it's right. No, that's specifically for the city administrator. Were you just doing a search? Because there's a section on officers.
I was just doing a search on the word bonds. Bond.
Oh. All right.
So then that would be another implication question, which would be where we are.
For chapter 3, form of government, section 10, other officers.
Yeah. Municipal judge, city administrator, and such other officers as the council deems necessary. Each of these officers shall be appointed and may be removed at the pleasure of the mayor with consent of the council. Okay, that is not the section that it's in about the finance director. Let me see if I can wow, this isn't showing any mention of finance director.
I was just going to say that, Dawn, I'm not finding it either. I'm just finding that section on recorder.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's a section 22 of.
I see it.
Yeah, okay.
The recorder shall serve ex officio as clerk of the council, attend all meetings, accurate record, sign all orders of the treasury. Okay. Upon accepting appointment to office of city recorder, the recorder shall furnish the city a surety bond in an amount and with a surety approved by the council. The city shall pay the premium of the bond. Okay, so this is really interesting to me because at one time, the city recorder was also the finance director. I'm wondering if that's how it got into my head that it was that this charter said finance director.
Yeah, this definitely reads like that. So that makes sense. Maybe at a time when the city was smaller.
Okay, I do know that the current city recorder is not the finance director. So this is probably a whole nother section that needs to be looked at. I mean, obviously. So, okay. My apologies for getting us distracted, but.
No, that's not, it doesn't strike me as a distraction at all. We've just discovered that there's no requirement in the charter for a finance director to have a surety bond.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
But I think that in this charter, it's obviously in the section 22 that the recorder is the one signing all the checks, orders of the treasury, which is not our current practice. So I think, oh, this is a bigger issue than just what this committee can do. Okay, so Matt, I wanted to point out that you talk way faster than I can type. So my notes on what you were saying might be really poor. Did
That's
you?
fine. I corrected.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to take over note taking. That was supposed to be my assignment tonight. So I'm not trying to default on that. Now that I'm in and I got everything up, I'm happy to take over note taking.
Please do.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
All right. So Councillor Kenyon was just mentioning down here about the that in the section for the city recorder, which we'll get to, that there's a difference in current practice from what the charter specifies. Okay, and Sue, and then James.
I don't have any implications to add.
Okay. James.
No opinion, but that's definitely problematic. We're not having a bond on the finance director, considering some of the more interesting ones we've had.
Well, I think in the past they have had bonds. I'm not sure what is currently happening, but we have had them with bonds in the past. But they were also considered the city recorder, you know?
I can certainly find out if there is currently a bond.
That would be great, James. Thank you. All right. The next section, so any other implication questions on section 19? I'm not seeing anyone. So we have about 15 minutes left of our scheduled meeting time. Do we want to, we're not going to get through the next section in that 15 minutes. Do we want to use that time to talk about about next steps forward for trying to get new members for this committee and implications for our meeting times? I'll propose that we do that. Any objections to that?
No, I think that sounds great. And maybe we could stop the screen sharing so we could see each other a little bit better on this portion.
Absolutely.
And I'll still take notes. I'm going to put next steps under where you stop the notes on the document list. I should put them somewhere else, but I can take notes on what we discuss.
That's perfect. Thank you. All right. Who is speaking?
Oh, stop share. Sorry, I am. I talk to myself a lot. I'm sorry.
No worries.
There we go.
So, Sarah, did you have some ways forward in mind that you wanted to bring up to help us get a picture of what you're thinking?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so first, after getting Jerry's email, I was like, oh boy, we should do another doodle, which that's always fun, especially in the summertime. But then realizing how small the committee is, maybe what we do is tentatively right now, our next meeting would be in September on the 14th. And that was going to be a question I had for Jerry is, come fall, is she able to resume on Wednesdays, or is that day no longer good for her? And maybe we just postpone a month, put out an advertisement to get some more participants, and then plan to resume with in September on the 14th. We could push it back to October as well. I certainly don't care either way, but it already seems like August is going to be tough for for folks with, the one nice month we're going to have it this year. So
I won't be here for September.
And maybe if we got new members, we would need to do another doodle anyways. Other dates.
How do we advertise for new members? Word of mouth or?
Well, I think last time the city posted it on the website, and then I don't know how the selection process happened, or if it was just everybody who was interested was invited. Seems like, I doubt there was much of a weeding out. It seemed like we started with a pretty large group, and then it just naturally over time came down.
How that did work was the administration committee posted it on the city website and on some local social media sites. And the only criteria for whether a person could become a member was if you were a registered voter or not. It was felt by the administration committee that since this would be making changes to the charter, which require registered voters to vote on, that the people deciding it should also be registered voters. So that was the only criteria, and everyone that applied that was a registered voter became a member until they either resigned or became a counselor or what have you. And this committee could certainly take over all of the recruitment and everything for the community.
I think that'd be a good idea, that we ask the admin committee or city to post again. And then maybe we meet in September, at least us and any new applicants, and see where we're at then. So it'd be just a meeting to plan future meetings, but probably a shorter meeting. And then we could move forward from there on the scheduling and whatnot. And if we feel like we still don't have much interest, maybe give it another month.
And how would current members feel about opening this up to youth age 14 and older who are civically minded and certainly have a stake in how the charter is structured? I don't know how many youth there are who are capable of following what's going on here, but I would imagine there may be some.
Yeah, in the past, there's been a student liaison to city council that's attended meetings and stuff. So I think maybe in that capacity, where if students wanted to be, I guess an ex officio would be the correct term, member of the committee, but probably not a voting member on final adoption of language, but could, otherwise participate fully in discussion.
Would there be a legal reason for keeping them only as ex officio?
It wouldn't be a voting member, like, they're not old enough to vote. That was part of the criteria.
Right.
That was just the criteria that the admin committee came up with, because we didn't feel like there was any other valid reason to exclude a citizen from being on this committee.
I would personally welcome a civically minded youth age 14 or older to vote as well, in terms of getting interest, and they have a stake in what happens.
One thing that's going through my head, Matt, I don't know if you know this, but the government, the students that are in government, which tends to be juniors and seniors, have to do a certain amount of hours around this type of work for their government class. So what if we
I didn't know that.
6 students who are doing this as an assignment and they all get to be voting members?
Okay, yeah.
It's that's the one reason I was like, if they want to participate, because there could be a lot that are interested, because they're like, oh, sweet, I can attend this meeting once a month. I'm hitting all my government requirements, and yeah.
Okay.
We could get outnumbered.
Yeah.
I would be comfortable with that if the committee is, absolutely.
I like the older. 14 seems a bit young, but juniors and seniors, well, they can be just as young. But having worked with a lot of middle schoolers, I tend to go with a little bit older kids.
I wonder what the benefit of having more people on the committee, or just the push to have more people on the committee. It seems like it's like, I think in my mind I'm thinking, well, more people on the committee, you know, will give us a rounder product, and then the streamline engineer in me says, oh, we're having a hard enough time getting 6 people in the same room. How are we going to do 10?
I'm happy to take that one, Sue. And I raised it earlier about the committee getting so small. And in the past 20 years, it's come up numerous times about there needing to be revisions to the charter. But it's like one of those issues that gets political fast, or contentious fast. And so I really feel like the larger the committee is, if somebody feels like, you know, their neighbor, their friend, their, you know, person that they work with or whoever had a role in crafting that new document, I think we get more buy-in. I think if we have a small committee and we come out with, especially if we're going to have, you know, a lot of new language with really trying to update things, I could see it falling flat. So I raised the concern of us putting all this effort into it and then it getting put on a shelf. I've definitely been part of, like, you know, projects in the past that have been shelved, and nothing that's this major, but like, you know, park stuff and whatnot. And I just don't want to see that happen to it. So yes, it definitely will make us move slower having a bigger committee, but in the end, I think we're much more likely to have any of the suggested revisions passed by the community.
Thanks, Sarah. That makes it super clear. Okay. I'm on board.
All right, so reaching out then to juniors and seniors as potential ex officio members, and reaching out to the community at large. And you're willing to take lead on that, Sarah?
Yeah, I'll talk to I'm forgetting her first name, but Mrs. Sokolowski. She runs the government class, and we might definitely find some students that'd be interested with that. And then as far as like advertising to the community, I think maybe we can all do that, but it might be best if the advertisement just looks like the past one and is first posted at the city website, and then we can all share out from there. Does that make sense?
I believe it's in our shared folder, our original advertisement. So I'll make sure the new city administrator has access to that so that he can get that posted on the city website again.
I don't remember what it said, but I somehow found out about this group through the website. Facebook maybe, but can there be some kind of verbiage that says, would you like to have a say in how the city is run, or something like that? If you're not happy with what's happening, I don't know, just consider volunteering to have some say in this group.
I think actually, if I remember right, we may have had it typed on the back of a utility bill, a water bill, to get interest. And that would be another really good way to get. I don't see the advertisement here. Maybe it's in my personal file. I'll find it.
I'm glad you said that, because I knew that I hadn't seen it on site and I couldn't remember for the life of me how I found out about it. But you're right, it was in the water bill.
Yeah. That might be how I found out about it.
Yeah. Because I didn't have internet at the time, so I knew it wasn't that way.
And usually there's no problem with doing that as long as the city doesn't have something else already planned to be on the back of the the water bill. So I'll take that one on.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I remember right, Dawn, I think the deadline to notify the city and staff on that to get it in the water bill is about the time the first or the monthly goes out, right? And so I kind of, in my mind, is somewhere around like the first of the month or second to have the mini language to get it in there in time. Does that sound about right?
It sure does. And I'll make sure as soon as we log off of this meeting that I've got the information to James.
Okay.
So that he can forward that on to whoever does that. Yeah, because it's already created. If there's any dates in there, I'll just change those and get it over.
That's good. All right. So with those next steps, Councilor Kenyon, we also will we also be removing the August meeting from the city's calendar?
I can sure make sure that happens.
Okay, great.
With James.
Thank you. And then let's go ahead and have a checkout round on how you're leaving the meeting. Yep, just how you're leaving the meeting and what your hopes are for this process going forward. Jan and then James.
Well, I'm glad this came about. I really like Sarah's idea, get more people on board. I think I'm going to try to reach out to Chris Harder unless you know that he's resigned, because I thought he had a lot of good input when he was here. And I'm encouraged. I just think we really need to push hard to get citizens interested in, in this. And if it takes, wagging it in for, hey, if you don't like what's happening, get involved, or whatever. So I'm leaving in a better mood than I was earlier. And I just had a yummy dinner delivered by my husband. So I'm like, woohoo.
All right, James and then Sue.
Well, I just want to say I'm really impressed with the work you guys are doing. I think maybe with the exception of Budget Committee, this is the most important committee that we have. And I wanted to share with you that I believe we currently have 3 committees that don't have quorum, don't have enough members to have quorum. So this is a problem we've had with committees recently. So you're not alone. I think it would be important when you do the posting for more members to, of course, make sure that the date and time of the meeting is noted. So, if somebody has, I don't know, a volleyball team commitment on Wednesdays, that they would know that ahead of time so you don't run into the problems of them not showing up. But anyway, I'm encouraged by the work you guys are doing and hope to help.
Thank you. Sue and then Chris.
Yeah, I love that explanation, Sarah. It makes perfect sense if we're going to make change. Yeah, there's nice to have a broad representation, and I'll put my thinking cap on and invite some others. There was somebody who brought it to my attention. I might volley it back into hers, and then I got a few people in mind to show the water bill to.
Chris and then Sarah.
As has been the case with every meeting, I've learned a little more about my little town, and hope to be able to be a little more, I don't know, I'm active. I just need more knowledge to make a point sometimes. So I'm going to go out in the garden and water my tomatoes. and I'm in a good mood.
Great. Sarah and then me.
I'm just appreciative you guys let me detour the meeting for a minute on logistics. As a facilitator, I tend to think about meeting logistics and the work that's being done, and is it going to be productive? And this is definitely all productive work, but our end goal of getting something passed by majority of voters is definitely something that's in the forefront of my mind. So I just don't, want us to see us get stalled out. So I think that it's a good move to take a pause, get some more folks. And I'm really hopeful when we come back. COVID's been just, ups and downs, but I think getting into a room together would be helpful. I know I had a conversation with Chris. I think that because it's no longer being broadcast from City Hall is why he's not attending. And I know that's a barrier for other folks. We definitely, like at my work, have the ability to host a hybrid meeting. So I'd be happy to do that if we come back, if the city is not ready with their new space. And I think that would help too, if people aren't feeling like they have to have good enough internet and ability to log on to participate. If they can just come in person, it might help. So yeah, hopeful that when we get started in the fall, we can, make strides faster. So thanks, everyone.
I think the meeting went well. I'm encouraged by the direction that things are going, and appreciate, Sarah, your sensitivity to having the work that we do actually go somewhere, actually do something that's, I think, vital for why all of us are willing to put in the time and effort we already have, and the time and effort that we are putting in, foreseeing putting in the future. So thank you for that detour that has taken us in this direction. And Councillor Kenyon, finishing our checkout round.
Yes, well, I'm also leaving the meeting in a good mood. I think that everything that came up and was talked about tonight is good to get, to get us working towards getting more people in here. And I just wanted to ask a question, like if I'm going to change the advertisement to show a date and time, should I say second Wednesdays if we're going to start another doodle poll? And those take time, so that could delay this advertisement. So what do you guys think about that?
Dawn, I think I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that for a second. I was like, boy, how should we do that? We don't want people to self-exclude because of the date. So maybe we could say intro meeting on that date. And so maybe people will sign up to come to that meeting. And then from there, we can ask the group if they want to continue that regular meeting time or change it.
That's a good idea. Introductory meeting date to see if you want to join. And that would be the September, what was it, 14th? Or yep. I'll look it up.
Yep.
James, I see your hand.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, correct me if I'm wrong, Don, but with our Zoom account, I think we can only run one meeting at a time. So if you were to change the date, you just need to be really careful that doesn't conflict with another committee, because I don't think we can use the
Zoom
account at the same time. Yeah.
You're right.
I'm happy to help with that too. I can help with hosting the meeting with my account. I have an account we can use, or we do have Meets with the city. And one thing that's nice about Meets, it's another platform, I know, but the people who log in can have the text across the bottom of the screen. And so I've found in some of our meetings that we've switched to that platform because Google reads really well with that. And so if people have trouble hearing, that's another kind of accessibility option. So I think we could work around that if we were to find a conflicting time.
Yeah, I would also love to see, my wife is hard of hearing, and we use Zoom extensively for that text to speech. So I would love to see that enabled in the future as well, for just as much, whatever platform we're on, for the accessibility. Thanks for bringing that up, Sarah.
Matt, all right. Are you saying that Zoom does have that option as well?
Yes.
It does, but I think you have to pay more for it. So it might depend on what subscription level you're at. Meets with Google Meets, it's free.
I would just like to make sure something's consistent so I know how to find you guys.
Sarah, it sounds like you and I both have Zoom accounts through our work or whatever means that we would be willing to use with the committee. I know mine has text to speech on it. Whichever way we go forward. The chief advantage I appreciate about Zoom is when someone has a less robust connection, their compression algorithm is superior. So it lets people in who have lower connections. But as long as everyone has a robust enough connection, then it's fine either way.
Thanks for confirming that for me. I always thought that might be the case. So then that is a good reason to leave it on Zoom, but sorry to take us a little bit long. How about what do you guys think about, I can just host at, it's a city building that I use that we rent for South Limit Solutions, that we host the meeting there, and we could put it on that advertisement, Dawn, that people could come to that first meeting at the OIP offices, and we'll have it hybrid. So we could have the link and a hybrid, and so that way might remove any barriers for people with not good internet.
I think that's a great idea, and just move forward with it, with that option until we know for sure, and if people want to move to the city. And also having one of the two of you host the meeting is also absolutely ideal, especially if you can do the accessibility, because that's just going to save one step, except that the city needs to publicly notice the meeting. So we want to make sure that that's always going to happen. So
that's good.
Matt, do you want to do that if you know you have the text to speech option? I haven't ever used it on our Zoom, so we might not actually have it. We might only have it on Google Meets.
If you are going to be hosting an in-person one, I would prefer that you do it, and am happy to help you experiment with that. And I'm also willing to serve as a backup if we can't get it running on yours. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll all I have to do is just change our invite. I'll create a link, and then Dawn will make sure you have it.
Sounds good. And if you want to confirm the accessibility first, that's fine. And if not, we can use mine. It's fine. Thank you all. Good night.
Night. James got his hand up.
Yeah, just
James. Yeah.
Sorry, just one thing. Totally up to you guys if you want to switch platforms, but it might be hard because it's the same Zoom channel for every committee meeting, every city council meeting. And some folks might not be able to find the meeting because they're just used to putting in the same code, because it's the same code for every committee meeting, every city council meeting. And they might, get upset that they couldn't find the meeting, might think you're hiding the meeting by going to a different platform. I don't know, just an idea, but totally up to you guys.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I didn't think about the recording aspect and then going to the YouTube channel. We know there's not a conflict for the 14th. So can we'll keep that one as the city, and then we could talk about it at that point. And if we think there'll be a conflict, we can make a decision from there.
there's a good possibility that the city would be ready to have the hybrid meeting at City Hall by then as well. So I'll talk to the mayor tomorrow and see where we're at with that. I'll just be in touch with you, Sarah, in the next couple of days so we can make sure we solidify how the advertisement's going to read.
Okay, now I know that I'm going to miss that September meeting because I'll be out of state. So is there a way that I can get an email as to what happened, or a way that I should go and find, some information about what happened at the meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. The Google Doc that we are working in, Councilor Kenyon is going to make sure that doc is transferred to the shared Google Drive folder that we have, which is public. And you'll have access to that, real time and anytime thereafter.
Okay, thank you.
And also these meetings are all recorded. So hopefully when our new city administrator has a little time, he can organize the YouTube channel to have a folder for charter review committee recordings, and anybody can find them there.
Sounds great. Cool. Thank you all again. Good night.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Hear me out.